Before we get into the fantasy news, I would just like to let you know that we have added 2 new channels to the Discord server for potential authors in the audience to specifically find beta readers. You can post a manuscript and then get in touch with potential beta readers now, except, important caveat, we cannot take any responsibility for the relationships that form. This is purely meant to be a medium for authors to find what I most often get asked about from people new to writing. How do I find someone to give me honest feedback who's outside my personal circles? We recommend you get people who you find here to sign NDAs and be very discerning. But that being said, yes, you can now find a beta reader within the Daniel Greene Discord server, if you so choose. Now, let's get into the news. Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I'm your disheveled goblin host Daniel Greene, and today we have to get into conspiracy news. And that is because we have seen some posts blow up over on the r/KingKiller subreddit that have me very skeptical. But I just want to present the facts as they are, talk about how fans are interpreting them, and then give my opinion on the matter. Specifically, this is coming about because Patrick Rothfuss has a private website where the translators for his books can operate. It is private, you cannot access it. Yet, fans have managed to find a way to track activity on the site, and suddenly there has been a flurry. Specifically, the details read, from Kiniru9669, holy moly, okay, buckle up. This is the website Rothfuss's translators use for his book. Last time someone noticed a burst of activity, it was a couple of months before the release of The Narrow Road Between Desires. They cleverly posted a screenshot of the website, and I've paid attention ever since it turned out to be an accurate signal. Since then, the site was dead. Well, all-time users online at the same time recorded was set just a week ago. All 137 translators online at once. Looks like an all-hands-together meeting. And now the site is buzzing with tons online on a weekend morning. 30 online right now, random Saturday morning after the 4th of July. Either Rothfuss is set to announce another non-King Killer book, or this is it, folks. His radio silence has been him putting his head down, and he's taking his translators to work. Regardless, he's got something big cooking, even bigger than Narrow Road Between Desires, judging by the attendance record. This was followed up by another post from user Mike Blue 16, where he said,
"You're out of your goddamn minds."
I hate to be that guy, but I feel that I should point out a few things before we all gaslight each other into expecting Book 3 announcement in the following weeks or months. 12 hours since the original post, and the number of users is roughly the same. If you refresh constantly, it goes up and down a couple of users, but it's pretty consistent overall. In that time there haven't been any new posts, so the only real activity is users online, which are all guests. Translators definitely belong to those 61 registered users. If translators weren't registered, they would be looking at the same screen time as us, which doesn't make any sense. So there's no visible activity. The numbers remain the same. Unfortunately, the most likely explanation is that these are just bots indexing the site or web crawlers. The fact that the number of guests remained roughly the same for 12 hours with no real activity kind of points to that. The burst in users on June 30th may have been triggered by anything. Considering the number is 137, but there are only 61 members, it's quite telling as well. In conclusion, the most likely explanation isn't a Book 3 announcement, and don't hate me, I was just as excited as everyone else. I also want to spare you guys even more suffering and disappointment. Let's keep our eyes open on the website and see if there's actual activity in the following days, like new posts or topics. But in the meantime, we should definitely lower our expectations. We've seen response to this saying things like, entirely possible it's bots, but I do think there's merit to a sudden burst of activity. Would be strange for multiple crawlers to suddenly activate at the exact same time. So I'm still going to huff hopium, although if it's day 3, I suspect it will take longer to translate than a few months. And then finally, only a few minutes ago, their imagination posted, I created a script to monitor the Chronicles library. It checks once per 10 minutes. And at 12:16:39, a registered user was online on the site. The previous and one after didn't have it. So they were online sometime between 12:07:13 and 12:25:59, with a top response from Jack Ancestry responding, actual translator here hearing false rumors and suddenly questioning, oh shit, I didn't actually miss something, did I? And with the first post getting over 4,000 upvotes and over 600 comments, There's been a buzz of activity around this influx ever since. I hate to admit, I'm more so inclined to agree with the second post, and seeing someone come online, an active user, after all this talk about the website, could even mean that they're going to scrap it because they now know fans are watching it. All I'm willing to bet pretty much for sure is if they are aware that fans are trying to monitor their translators and are looking for any activity on this private website, we will likely see them move the translators somewhere else. The original influx could have absolutely been bots. It could have been some kind of maintenance test. As someone who worked in software engineering, you do things to your server to make sure everything is good. Now, could that be being done because they know pretty soon the website was allegedly going to be being used? Who knows? This is a giant conspiracy, one that I find rather fun. I like that fans are going so hard for Doors of Stone that a private website for Rothfuss's translators is being stalked. Not to have any negative connotations, fans do what you're gonna do, but this is like website stalking, it quite frankly is. My favorite post on the subreddit during this whole time though is this one, Moopy969. Hilarious. The only thing I will say in relation to any of that is if we are going to see anything related to Doors of Stone surface soon, I fervently hope the charity that is owed chapters will be made solvent first before anything else. In terms of this being a strong indicator of Doors of Stone actually being about to come out, I would put it at most 10%. That is because it could be a different, unrelated Rothfuss project. It could be just server work. It could be random internet crap happening to a private website. We do not know. I just think it's now likely that if anything else could have been caught on this website, it won't be, because the website will either be protected or moved, shut down, something to prevent this level of attention in the future. It's really fun though. And it's funny, I wouldn't have covered an update coming from Rothfuss because of how often that's just gone nowhere, but something like this from fans, I find interesting and worth covering because it gives an insight into fervent fandom. But this takes us to our second big opening story of the day, where we have seen that the Fourth Wing adaptation is anything but dead in the water. Because we have seen Jacques Schaefer tapped to take on the adaptation as showrunner in a deal with Amazon MGM Studios as the former showrunner departs. This project still has Michael B. Jordan's Outlier Society attached, which has been working with Amazon MGM since 2013 to get it done. And after briefly looking into Jacques Schaefer, I think, at least from my impressions of reading a little bit of Fourth Wing, she could be a great fit because she was a showrunner for Marvel's WandaVision and Agatha All Along. I enjoyed WandaVision. I've heard great things about Agatha All Along, to be clear. And what I said remains. There are certain adaptations I'm very skeptical about happening, and then there are money bag makers like Fourth Wing that I would be shocked if we did not get an adaptation out the door in the next couple of years, because this is the kind of franchise with the amount of momentum behind it that they tend to fast track a whole lot of the things that could slow down other projects. Sure, bumps in the road will be hit. We just saw that happen with them shifting showrunners, but I don't think that means necessarily the wind is out of the sails.
It is alive!
But oh my god, the greatest fantasy book of all time is going to be getting a new edition. That's right, The Hobbit is going to be getting a matching edition in a deluxe slipcase released November of 2025. And to tantalize so many Tolkien Teds, didn't have a word there, it'll also feature, of course, new, never before released art from the artist most affiliated with the series, debatably, Alan Lee. And it looks to have a retail price of £125. But somehow managing to knock the Tolkien edition out of the water in terms of my hype for it. We have also had 3 upcoming editions announced for Robin Hobb's Assassin's Apprentice, because Curious Kings has announced they're going to be doing a standard, deluxe, and lettered edition for Robin Hobb's classic of the series. And all 3 of them look damn good. Curious Kings rarely misses the mark, and on this instance for all 3, they seem to be somehow finding the exact center of said mark. Being illustrated by Lixin Yin, these will be signed by the author, with the standard edition being the only one with a wraparound jacket from the artist. Just proving I'm a weird, obsessive person, I spent far too much time today looking at these different Assassin's Apprentice editions, trying to figure out which one I actually like the best, and I'm not trying to be contrarian or anything, but
The standard edition's the prettiest, right? Like, if you're just going for sheer aesthetics here, that deer is amazing. The blue is super striking. And while I think actually the second best one is the deluxe edition, I have a couple problems and concerns with the lettered. One, just personally, totally subjective, bit too much beige. Two, I don't love the idea of this kind of breakable box that people are gonna have to handle pulling on and off the shelf. Even in one of their promo image, I see something that kind of can look like a chip, maybe. And in addition to that, on a wood shelf, there's something that's so I don't know, am I crazy? Especially with it being leather, I don't love necessarily the feeling of leather books in my hands. I much prefer the cloth ones. So, I don't know. I'm just, okay, yeah, I spend a lot of time thinking about this stuff.
With the pre-order set to go live July 15th. The Broken Binding has also tapped one of the indie darlings, Ryan Cahill, for their next special edition release, and that is going to be for Ryan Cahill's Of Blood and Fire. With art by Tom Roberts, you can pre-order this one now. With the book being pitched as Born in Fire, Tempered in Blood, Etheria is a land divided by war and mistrust. The High Lords of the South squabble and fight, only kept in check by the Dragon Guard, traitors of a time long past, who serve the Empire of the North. In the remote village of the southern Etheria, still reeling from the tragic loss of his brother, Helen Breyer prepares for the proving, a test of courage and skill that not all survive. But when three strangers arrive in the village of Milltown with a secret they are willing to die for, Kalen's world is ripped from under him, and he is thrust headfirst into a war that has been raging for centuries. There is no prophecy. His coming was not foretold. He bleeds like any man, and bleed he will. I didn't do a synopsis read for Assassin's Apprentice because I assume we all know the story of Fitz, but maybe I shouldn't assume that. It's the story of the most lovable dipshit in the history of fantasy, as horrible things happen to him for 3 books, and you'll love it. But from Solaris Books, we have seen a cover released for The Orb of Cairado, a new novella from Catherine Addison, with cover art by James Jones. A former history student framed for theft is given a chance to clear his name. It'll be out in the UK, April of 2026. And apparently this will be in the same world as the Goblin Emperor, if I'm reading this Blue Sky right. And then we had Orbit Books releasing the cover for Aicha by Soraya Bawazio, Temptress Monster Warrior. Aicha tells the tale of Morocco's warrior goddess, her strange magic, vicious rebellions, and fearless love affair. With art by DZArt16. And you know how we just talked about new Murderbot news? Well, we have an update to Murderbot once again, because within the publisher's website, that is too many hand movements, Tor has announced the details for Rapport, friendship, solidarity, communication, empathy, a new novelette within the Murderbot universe that'll be premiering after Season 1's finale. It's also said to be specifically a standalone story for anyone who has not finished Artificial Condition. And then in some Webtoon news, I think I'm using the right turn, we have seen a sneak peek drop for the upcoming Dungeon Crawler Carl adaptation, and I'm not basing my whole review around this, but the more I have seen this younger Carl, it changes quite a bit about the series to me. I don't know why, but him looking like a teenager as opposed to someone in his 30s, that affects character read, right? Like, the age of a character is important when it comes to their action, the implication of their experience, so much. And I'm just not sure how I'm gonna end up feeling about the story with a younger presentation of who Carl is. I wonder if they'll address that and have him specifically say, like, he has a baby face or something, or I don't know. It's just a really odd thing, or I'm not counting it out. I'm still really excited to read this, but this is Carl for me forever. Or in live action, like, that's Carl for me. This is going to take me to the trailer news I am most excited for about this week, no question, because it looked awesome, despite not necessarily being accurate. And that is going to be the trailer for Edgar Wright's Running Man, starring Glenn Powell. And if you've read Running Man, clearly they are taking some severe creative liberties here, but as opposed to what some people may think about me, you can change source material, and as long as it has a purpose and is well thought out, I typically do not have a problem with it. And if there's a director I trust to take an interesting new spin on Running Man, it would be Edgar Wright. And Glenn Powell starring is delivering, just even in this trailer, you can tell, such a charismatic performance. The cast on this is bonkers. And is this now my most anticipated movie of 2025? It might be, because just watching this trailer, I was having a blast. This is a great trailer. Best trailer we covered this year. Sealing it. But speaking of exciting adaptation, in quickie news, we can confirm that Dune 3, or Dune Messiah, has begun production as of Monday, or yesterday for you, today for me. We're traveling through time as we communicate right now. And then finishing off our brief quickie news, we have had it confirmed that Cyberpunk Edgerunners will be getting another 10-episode season, with very little else known about it, because that's the Cyberpunk way. Though, a few of the voice actors were present when this was announced, and we've had this visualization poster there. Does that mean the voice actors are for sure cast in this next season? Will they be playing the same characters? How should I know? Although we did have it confirmed in an interview where, I want to say, spoiler warning for season 1 of Edgerunners, skip to here if you don't want to see this. Time code, time, I'm giving you it now. Okay, bam. He did confirm David's dead. So while the Lucy voice actress is there and Lucy theoretically could return, David, no, that is not happening. So dead, super dead. If he was back, that would undercut the ending of the first season and like all the emotional weight of it so much. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and believe him there, unless they like bring him back as a reincarnated horrific abomination. I guess that could actually make things worse from season 1. Not sure. We have seen an anime trailer adaptation drop for Rooster Fighter. I have no idea what this is, except I looked in the comments sections and some people were comparing it to Berserk. And with these visuals, I'm very confused. I kind of enjoy having this out of context in my brain, so I'm gonna leave it there. Link down below, of course, as well as every other story we talk about today here. But that's not my favorite anime news of the week. Neither is Cyberpunk Edgerunners, because debatably my favorite season of animation ever has had its trailer drop for season 2, and that is going to be Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. And oh, cozy fantasy is talked about quite a bit, and I would put forth the perfect distillation of peak cozy fantasy is Frieren. It still has high stakes, but in a relaxed way. There's still so much adventure to be had, but never any rush. Season 2, I'm drooling for. Oh God, please faster than 2026. And then this next story I am including mostly because I love the headline, but also it's a contribution to a topic we've been covering here for a long time here in Fantasy News, and that would be in regards to AI narration. We had an article drop from The Guardian titled, "AI doesn't know what an orgasm sounds like." And yeah, it probably doesn't. This is getting into the debate around, of course, how the job of narrator seems to be under threat from the influx of AI narration that has already begun to infiltrate massive markets for the industry, like Audible. There has been, of course, pushback from those who make a living in this space, as well as fans who do not believe AI narration will be able to live up to the best narrators that they have fallen in love with and have helped present some of the most important stories in their lives. And there's the point of, yeah, actors know when to have a hitch in their voice, sob a little, breath, so much that can improve a performance. And for now, AI seems unable to do that. Now, I've seen people who are pro AI narration push back saying, hey, we can just have AI narration take the, more pulled back omniscient narrator perspective, and when you get in with the character dialogue, we'll be able to give narrators more time to perfect those high acting moments. I would push back and say even when we're just doing descriptors, there needs to be some acting there. I cannot imagine a version of the Dresden Files where he's just looking around a room and not having some strong opinions on stuff come through his voice. But it's a continuing developing issue, but I'd love to see people's opinions in the comments down below, especially if you are someone who is a voice narrator in that industry. I mean, this has got to be such a scary time, and do you think it has any merit to the idea that you will have more time to devote greater acting to the scenes that really deserve it? I just think of like the other implication of that, which of course is not apples to apples, but like imagine someone saying like, we don't need Leonardo DiCaprio in most of these scenes, just the ones where he's really acting hard, so we'll AI him from there. Right? Like that's what? And a teaser from Apple TV Plus, I will insist on saying the full name every time until they change it, for Neuromancer. Definitely my most anticipated Apple TV Plus show they're currently working on. But in the final story of the day, I would like to give you, if you're interested, an update on the ongoing beast of a Wheel of Time project we've been cranking away at for months now. I am this week going to finish recording my episode summaries. I just have to get Towers of Midnight and Memory of Light done, and then I will be on the actual just recording side finished. That does not mean we're near done though. As of now, Book 5, Fires of Heaven, has been released on Patreon, and I can't wait from the feedback for y'all for that. Hopefully next week we'll be able to get Book 6, Lord of Chaos, on Patreon, and ooh, talking about Dumas Wells was so much fun. But in terms of when it's going to be available here on YouTube, it's probably going to be another month or two, because once every episode is done and we got feedback on Patreon, I'm going to do a full edit of the roughly 12-hour video to make sure it's as clean, concise, and perfect for you all here as possible. But in some fun additional news, I have a bonus gift I've been working on for Wheel of Time fans that you'll be able to get a sneak peek on later, hopefully this week, maybe in early next week as well. Thank you all so much. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And have a good one, y'all. Peace. And I would like to record a special shout out to my latest high tier patron, Jesse Eddy. Jesse Edie? Sorry about that. Here's a picture of me as a baby.